Welcome back to Yildiz Readings 5D. We're here to do the update for the partial solar eclipse in Scorpio. Very big one. There's been mixed vibes in the astrology collective, so I guess we're all getting to the point where we're interpreting the energy and seeing what's coming up. This update is going to be different bits of everything. You're going to get your star signs. I will put the banner on the screen. I'll channel the messages, look at the energy that's coming through as per house. We're going to have a general overview. We're going to look at the tarot as well and how it can be playing out with the three main tarot energies that's coming through for this cycle, and also look at the angel numbers. So without further ado, you're here to see the update for Scorpio. So we're going to get straight into such. Now, yes, we do cover these webinars directly via my website. The VIP members get these webinars ahead of the crowd free, and then they're pre-released here to YouTube. Now, those of you who will be directly impacted by this eclipse more so than others, and we all do have 12 house systems through us, you can go to astroseek.com, which is where this direct chart came from. So feel free to go visit them. You can put your birth chart in and it's going to give you the house placement. There's other tools online, but really knowing where these placements are will be key as to what house it's going to hit the hardest, and that will be a more personalized aspect of this. But in the general undertone, look at your rising. Definitely try and look at the different placements, sun, moon, rising, and Venus, because it's going to be shaking up this area for you. It is a partial eclipse and it's a new moon, but I do think this is going to be quite big due to the fact that it is Scorpio. The ones that it is going to affect the most is those born from 0 to 7 degrees off the fixed signs, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. The cardinal signs, 27 degrees to 30, Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, and most significantly, yes, definitely Scorpio, okay? So the one thing I can say is with Scorpio, you could look at it a little bit Mars and Plutonian, okay? It's what's not working, outdated systems. Definitely, I do feel spiritually we're going to see some secrets coming out, some exposure happening. They're the more taboo elements of life that we don't like to talk about, which can be very 8th house matters, tax, debt, sex, illicit affairs, you know, the gritty things in life. And it's also, again, to do with our direct stability in the world collectively, you know, where we stand, how we're moving forward. So there's going to be these brand new beginnings, but there can be these endings in order for that to happen. So it can be the frequency of having to talk about these really difficult subjects, having to face these circumstances in the mix of it being connected to the nodes, obviously, because of the eclipse. Now, the sun on the day is making a conjunction to the moon, to Mercury, and also to Venus, which is really funny because, you know, when I was really looking at this moon, we do look at Venus at the moment as going through its end cycle and having a rebirth. So even Venus, which when we look at Venus, it can be the element of money, food, resources, the way we see our bodies, you know, the vibration we're feeling, the things we directly enjoyed, the resources, the finances, all those things can be in question at the moment where they're changing, systems are changing, so to speak. It can also be those energies that are directly related to those areas that are going through a change. But there was a lot of other energy that was really showing us potentially near this eclipse is that acceptance of change is going to be difficult for people. And so sometimes it is from an intuitive level, especially me as a psychic medium that covers the astrology. I found that, and I'll keep you posted on the opposite side of this, that some of this energy was really giving us some significance. You generally can feel earlier. Some of it might have already played out for you around the time of August, leading into August, coming into September and October. You would have heard the rumbles of it. You're seeing some sense of significance, especially moving into the month of October with Mercury going direct. I do feel many of us pretty much from the 25th to the 26th, because it moves from Libra evening over to Scorpio. We're going to see in a balanced way where the balance is, where it's not. But we're also going to have a new beginning in those areas, which does mean a significant ending. And it could it be sudden? Yes, there'll be the collective consciousness, but there's also deeply inside of our own charts where it's going to hit, where it could show up, and how it can show up. I'll cover all those bases for you inside of this. So from a Venus point of view, there can be wariness, but also from a thought process, emotionally coming to terms with something maybe that isn't working, a system that isn't working, a circumstance that's happened. Pluto being direct is more than likely going to aid this and really shove this purpose, even though we do see some adversity coming through with the positions of where Mercury is. Mercury also in the house of Gemini is really Mars-like at the moment, because we do have Gemini sitting in the house of Mars. So we have a quincunx. When we have quincunxes, what we do tend to find is it's a left and right. So in your day-to-day routine, things that you want versus what you can have, you might feel, where's the dream? That can be one way it can come up. Where is the dream? Where's the happiness? Are we feeling disillusioned? Are we confused? Are we trying to find balance in situations and not knowing how to do that rebuild? There can be some sense of confusion. And with any eclipse, really, in any major aspect, the best advice, if no emergency has kind of showed up, is to really give it a couple of days to digest it, to reach your revelations. You could be a bit more anxious moving in and moving out of it. Generally try and do your clearing moving into it. Take a moment to get the download, as we call it in the spiritual community, to absorb, to understand and comprehend and make some sense. A few days after, address the ferryman. If there is something you do need to address, obviously we don't have that luxury. We go in and we address those things. But you will find over the next 6 to 12 months, this will be a brand new chapter and a process we're moving into as we move into 2023. So quincunxes give you no choice but to either react, have confidence in the dream, accept disillusionment. There's a lot of healing I see coming through with this eclipse in Scorpio, and it may require us to have courage with logic. Mercury, however, in the house of Libra will be squaring Pluto in Capricorn. So it could be that there's more work to do. It may be that, anything worth having is worth doing. There could be some difficulties, frustrations, trying to do too many things, trying to be fair. Could be to do, again, with your beliefs, your value systems. Give it a couple of days. We're going to get into it in a minute. So Mars and Gemini, going to be going retrograde, very close to this energy. So be careful, going down the rabbit hole and having too much overdrive energy. Try to reduce your schedule prior to moving in towards this eclipse. If you do feel something's not working, feel free to book a session with me. The website details are directly below, and we can have a look at your chart, your individual circumstance, and I can coach you through that process. So what we're going to have is, with our day-to-day energy and vitality, we're getting a little bit more fatigued. Mars tends to give us our vitality. It is squaring Jupiter, so this could be, for some of us, it could be to do with travel. It could be staying local versus travel. We may see it also in the media to do with, difficulties with growing businesses, changes in the way we're having to deal with these things. But again, the direction is feeling a bit uncertain. So it can be that you're working things out. Regardless, I do see the tips would be, is as we move through this process, ultimately, I would say be ready for change. Some of it, as I mentioned, may have already played out as I go into your star signs, you'll see. But the other thing I can directly say is, be ready for change. Try to not hold on too tight. If you know that something's not working, be it it's in your love life, be it it's in your own personal wellness and it's a routine you're taking on, wherever that area that I do move into and mention, be willing to let go of the shackles. Be willing to go with that rapid of change, but be ready. Go with the flow. Go with the flow of the wave. Try to not get triggered. Try to take a moment for yourself. This is only a partial, but it is in the house of Scorpio. So, to one degree, I look at this and I think, gee, this is going to be heavy, especially because I personally have Scorpio on my chart. And there comes a lot of that energy of needing to let go. Especially because my North Node is in Scorpio. I'm having a nodal reversal. So it's about this acceptance of talking about more deeper subjects, having to expose ourselves in a little bit of a different way, feeling vulnerable, looking at trauma, vulnerability. It can be intimate wounds. But it's about letting go. It's like the death card in tarot. It's like something's ended and it's the trauma associated to it. But it's also sometimes that can be a great relief. It can be an ending of a cycle. It is going to be a brand new chapter nevertheless. But we'll have both polarities playing out simultaneously. Now, how Scorpio energy can play out is it can be quite deceitful at times. And that's not to say all Scorpios are. I don't feel so. I feel it's more, there's yin to the yang with every star sign, right? So you've got the lower octane of things, which can be jealousy, codependency, control, manipulation, shady secrets. And you've got the other side, which is acceptance, having to, empathize with yourself, look at your disappointments, realize that there's a new beginning, maybe coming to terms with new chapters and getting tired of getting up and feeling we're going, then we're back down again. So there's both playing out. But depending on your viewpoint and your acceptance of endings, some of this I do feel for many of us it was playing out at an emotional level. So don't freak out. It's going to be okay, right? What we see in the collective could be, it could be very interesting. I won't lie. Especially there can be unsettled energy. There can be cross wires. Mars will be getting ready to go retrograde. Just breathe. If you need to, listen to meditation, but I'll try to do such prior to the eclipse. As I mentioned here, meditation prior to the eclipse, not during. During, you want that kind of recharge. I would say, clear your schedule so you can have a little bit of recharge. Clear your schedule so that you can be at home. And I would say be with self. I wouldn't say, go out and party and socialize. This is probably a better time, especially with Mars and Gemini, is to take a couple of days. You don't need to go out and it's falling on your weekend, wherever you are in the world. Having that moment where you do what you need to do, you come home and you take a moment. And you can really, great time to journal, great time to be open to these new beginnings and to really intuitively sit with it and see how you feel. So meditation prior, if I'm guided to, feel free. You can touch base with us. If you're a particular star sign and you want to know what chakra is coming up, you can book a reading. We have the collective consciousness chakra, but we also have the individual star signs that have their own individual chakra that does come up. So if you want that chakra balance, the one thing I can say with the chakras at the moment is you may need to increase your fluid. Again, I can't give you from the Venus point of view. I can give you tips on the Venus energy. And it may be that, with the food that you're eating, I would say eat foods that balance your nervous system to support your happy Zen energy. Eat things that are lighter on the stomach because the scorpionic energy can be that food sits very heavy in your stomach. So from a chakra point of view, yes, every individual star sign has their own. It can be hitting you more so in different areas. And again, the third eye, I do feel can be quite, we can be quite in our heads during this time, especially with Mars going up, ready to go retrograde. So eat light. I would say a week prior, please try to eat lighter. Many times when we do have the moon transiting into particular star signs, it can actually increase appetite. And the shadow sign and the next eclipse we move into is Taurus, and you may find that you're really eating a lot. So if you can, it's probably better to, reduce that. Get to a point eating light so it's sitting better on your stomach. And you'll be able to handle it more so. But a lot of base chakra can come up. Our foundation, our fight and flight, feeling safe, inner child energy. So any area you feel is coming up for you, do the meditation a couple of days before, sit with a journal, have your clearing baths with your aromatic oils. And then as we move out of it, again, you can do the meditation if you need be, but it's probably going to trigger you more so if you do it during the moon. Just a tip. Let's get into the next section. Okay, so what do I see coming through with Venus? I do see a lot of changes happening, especially between now and November. I do see that there's potentials that we could have changes to do with how we use our money. There also could be changes to do with feminine. I also see changes in styles. There could be new styles coming through. I don't know why I do see a fashionista maybe will be in the media for something a little bit taboo and hush hush. Wonder who will say. Let me think. I will leave it. But yeah, definitely I see different trends coming through. But again, resourcefulness. It could be that a new line of clothing comes through and it can be quite eco. People's styles and the way they're spending their money is actually going to change. But there can be, again, this feeling of, okay, we need to go in a different direction. We need to assess this. Now, I do feel the collective will be 50-50. Some will be on board and accept that change is inevitable. Others will feel more anxious and protective and go down that kind of route. Now, I did see, especially between, when would I say this kicked off? I'd say August, between August and now, moving into the eclipse. If you hated your job, you can maybe be looking at your career at the moment. And this is collectively, and it could be that we're looking at things, okay, what's going to work? How do I commute to work? How is this changing for me? Is this the right path for me? I feel most of you, if you have that download as PDF, you may have already started that process really prior to that eclipse. You could potentially have that new beginning, especially for those of you that have transits in particular houses. Now, business also can be with online. I would highly advise with potential the Scorpio eclipse and Mars gearing up, ready to go retrograde in Gemini, is to make sure that you're updating your logins. And this can be for all of us collectively. There can be a redirection and a restructuring in a different way that you're trying to attempt to grow that and looking outside the box. Now, let's get straight into the star signs before you get cross at me and say, Yildiz, can we move into it? Aries, you want to know what's happening with you guys. Now, you guys have had you've had a couple of years of transformation, I'd say, and that is because we have had Aries and Chiron. Now, this is one of those months for you guys that we have Aries and Chiron. We have we've got Mars in Gemini. We also have the Pluto eclipse. It's all up in your house, right? So that you could feel that the floor is lava. You may feel very anxious and that you have a lot to do. You could be way too busy and having no time for yourself. I feel a lot of you may have already ended a cycle and you're kind of looking at life and saying, okay, where to from here? Now, I do feel particularly there could be major changes. This could be intimate wounds that come up. I'll be perfectly honest. Those of you in a relationship, it can be that suddenly an old debt is paid off, and it can be that a new resource of income is coming in. It may be that you rent your home out and you're having an income coming from such, but it does feel to be a new resource. This also can be a time where you are looking at commitments and you're more interested in a relationship that is purely in a sense of give and take. It's more a healthier version of a connection. There might be some gossip that does come up. So providing you've kept everything above board, it can be very positive. But this can be, the 8th house can be to do with death, inheritances, legacies. It's also the healthy codependency house. Although it's a new moon moving into it, there could be some triggers and old wounds that come up, and it might feel that notion that you can't ask for that pay rise or you can't go in that particular direction. But there also could be initially, in a sense, a lot of shadow work. It's like, insecurities to do with, can you trust a person? For some of you, I do see, especially within a contract, it could be that there is money coming back to you and there's a new stream of income coming. Others of you, it can be, how would I explain it? Your partner's income can increase. This is also for those of you, if you did feel a bit funky, although I can't give you medical advice, I can tell you what the astrology shows. It could be that you feel something is a little bit off and it's a good time to go get those checkups if you feel such as so. Definitely always seek a professional, but it can be more the fem checks and the things to that degree, getting balanced. I also see you changing your diet and wanting to eat things that are feeling a little bit lighter in your stomach, and you may need to be cautious of eating healthy, checking the use by date and things to that degree. But I definitely see a change in resource energy and contracts and what you directly can depend on. So it could be that you're doing your books and you're getting things in order. But I do see for some of you actually moving into a potential long-term partnership. Taurus, how are you, my beautifuls? Well, very shortly, this is your shadow energy, especially with the North Node at the moment. And as we move into November, yes, we are having the eclipse in Taurus. Stay tuned for that, and I'll give you the update. You guys have multiple ways this energy can play out. Yes, this is collective consciousness as well as how we look at your chart. You versus others, it's big. This is your money. This is your style. This could be a direct relationship. The things you value, you might go on and off food. Some of you, it could be you're saying to yourself, right, I've got to do something. I'm ready for a new beginning. I'm ready for that fit body. I wouldn't say around the eclipse time is it a good time to go under the knife, so to speak. That is not what I would suggest. Leave it a couple of days either side. I'd say a week to 2 weeks. But then as we do move through November and we're coming out of that shadow energy of the eclipse, we then move further into December, and we are having kind of like Mercury go retrograde again. So it's one of those points where your style could be changing. The way you feel to do with the person can be changing. You could be going from single to couple, couple to single. It doesn't have to play out that way, but something in the connection is changing. So if you were finding that there were issues inside of a current relationship you're in, this is a change point blank zero. I would also say some of you could be looking at a stream of income, a business, for those of you not working, moving into career, how you can usher those situations in. Confidence also may be coming up for you guys, but that's the placement of Mars at the moment. So you can be going from happy to grumpy, in a 260. Just be in the self-awareness of it. Yes, emotional eating also is possible. So sit with your emotions. Feel open that you can express them with your nearest and dearest, but there does appear to be a potential for a change where it is happening around your 7th house placement. So that's marriages, contracts, partnerships. Some of you could land a job of your dreams. Some of you could be doing whatever you were doing 6 to 12 months ago. It's doing a 360. So it's totally different. It's in a new direction. Gemini, are you having fun? Probably not. I love you guys to bits. I'm telling you, you are going to see the benefits. Probably not now. I call Gemini this month the Empress New Clothes. And it's because at this point in time, you could be really going through a very, very personal change. Okay. For you both, because Mars is in your 1st house and the eclipse is moving through your 6th house. And so you could be having some revelations of what you're doing in your routine, how people have treated you. Yes, victim consciousness can come up. It also could be, stress related, feeling that you can't trust people, feeling that people are attacking you. And it's identity. Okay. So it's your identity versus what you're doing. You may have a lot on your plate. I could say the key to this will be also if you have felt quite tired and unmotivated, it is because Mars is going to be going retrograde in your zodiac sign. But it's also a time where you are wanting to evolve and change. And this can be in your image zone. It might be, look, do I need to get my career back on track? Do I need to get into a structured routine? Is it exercise? I would say with both the eclipse in Scorpio and from Mars in the house of Gemini, you could be a little bit more accident prone, so keep aware. I wouldn't say go into extreme sports, climbing Mount Everest right about now. It'd probably be a bit iffy doing that because our self-awareness is not going to be there as much, but you still could be quite adventurous to a degree, okay? As it does move retrograde, if you do have something going on and we are hitting that Scorpio eclipse, pay attention to your wellness. Eat well. Think back to 6 to 12 months ago. Some of the themes that have been coming up, look at your routine. If you feel you have no time to yourself, you may need to restructure things, but you also could have a revelation that where it comes to loving your previous wounds, that you are feeling you're trying to let some of these wounds go. And they could be some things that really hurt you very deeply. I do feel for some of you, it could be a time where, you know, with the sixth house, we can deem it as the house of hidden enemies. But it also can be where we learn a great deal of structure and routine, how we can get organized. This can be with fitness and health and business management. So there's something you're going to be starting. Be really realistic about what you do start, because Mars going retrograde will mean who you are at the end of this cycle, and that's within 6 to 7 months, you're going to be very different. So if you bite off more than you can chew, you may not be able to do it unless you're incredibly organized. Slow and steady will win the race, whatever your big plans are. It could be, you know, turning over a new leaf, going on a health kick, changing image, dealing with wounds. But I do feel it, for those of you especially with the burdens and having to get everything done, you could also realize some behavioral patterns through this placement. So if you need to do some journaling, do some journaling, but otherwise it could be by getting into a solid brand new routine, you'll actually win the race. Cancer, being moon, this will make you feel a little bit more emotional than usual. I don't necessarily have a bad feeling. I would say with Pluto going direct in Capricorn, it's shadow direct at the moment, moving towards the eclipse, especially because you're moon, you're governed by the moon. We've got a sun and a moon energy. So both you and Leo are going to experience this in a similar way. This also can be subjects surrounding your children, pregnancies, could be alimony, you know, the foods you eat, wanting to go on a diet. Could it be a sudden pregnancy? It could be. Could it be news to do with children? Yes, it could be. It could be children moving out of the house, children moving in, your creative projects. You could be having a brand new idea about something that you want to start. And this can be very, very creative. So this could be a home-based business. For those of you, if you are running a home-based business, it can be that you've already tweaked things and you're trying to redirect it. I don't know why I'm saying paperwork in this area. I definitely feel paperwork, especially with Mercury direct in Libra, and, you know, went through Libra and Virgo. I almost feel you had to retweak these things. Now, this could be money, money relating to love. It could be a brand new baby you're launching into the world. This can be quite creative, but I also feel to do with your eating. It almost feels if you felt you had too much of a good thing, it might be that a food group maybe isn't working for you anymore. This can also be kicking habits, overindulgence habits, or things to that degree, and making a very serious commitment that something has to go in order for you to get your goal. Some of you, I do feel, maybe moving into this energy, you might feel a little bit more hungry and on the gluttony side, but that's just because of where the moon will be transiting up until we get there. I also do feel relationship issues can start kind of panning out, but this also around the eclipse for all of us collectively. If there is a toxic situation going on and it needs to come to a head, I do feel particularly there is this movement forward for you, and I feel as Pluto goes direct, you may find that things and the way you view relationships are going to be very different. I also feel you're going to be quite giving. For some of you, it could be that you're giving a gift to a loved one. And I also feel some of you actually have a potential of money getting back on track, you know, as we do proceed forward, potentially from here into November. You're going to be quite social too, but I think initially you're going to be planning, nesting. Give it a few days during the moon. You could feel a little bit more anxious than usual. And if you're not ready for a child, be careful. Leo, big changes in your life. Love interpreting your chart. I have many beautiful Leo clients. Love you to bits. You guys have lots going on, Charles. It has been a little bit hard for you because we did have both Saturn and Pluto retrograde. Saturn will be going direct towards the end of the month. That is linking to your romantic sector. Yes, it could be the Venus element of things. Self-esteem might have been coming up, especially with our Mercury retrograde moving towards this eclipse. Now, you could have had some issues coming up surrounding children, home, daily routine, the give and take. It could be a home environment or family. Now, this also can be suddenly moving in with a person. Maybe there are subjects surrounding your mother that are concerning you. You also could have subjects surrounding children that you are dealing with your own children that you are looking at the moment, and they're changing, and therefore it means you're entering into a new chapter. You could be taking on a new role. I do feel you're fine tuning. Let's put it this way. If you are running a home-based business, this can be those of you looking at the circumstance and saying, gosh, this is over. But I feel that if you look closer at it, it's looking outside the box, and it's tweaking things. It's keeping things simple, but it's being honest with, okay, is this working? Does this resonate with me anymore? Is this taking me in the direction I want to go? I do feel between now and next year, for those of you that don't have a house, you may want to invest in one. And I feel the pressure is going to be on. It has been, this eclipse in Scorpio has been hitting your fourth house for some time. So if you were living back with family, or you had, really difficult circumstances happening in the past coming back, grievances with siblings, etc., this can be an opportunity for this situation to either be accepted as the status quo and for you to move direct, or it can be, again, that you are, I do feel a lot of mother healing at the moment, and it's healing with you, it's healing with your inner child. Yours is the first zodiac sign that have really been guided to give advice on the chakra. I mean, I would say inner child can come up, so it can be solar plexus and sacral chakra. But at the same time, for some of you, it can be a sudden need to move house, and that can be if there's a really toxic environment. If you were selling a home, it can be that the money comes through and you're moving into a home for new investments, but it can be this big conversation. It can be with professionals. It could be with a love interest where you could be moving in together. Virgo, beautiful Virgos, Mercury. Was it irritating you, my loves? As we move into this eclipse, I do feel for some of you, it could be that a conversation can seal the deal. It may be that you get a new vehicle. It could be that you come to terms with an emotion of the past where there was, could have been to do with car accident, because it's third house. So it's wounds to do, wanting to maybe reach out and talk to somebody. Some dirty laundry can come out. It could be the need to get some new technology. It might be that a refrigerator breaks down, or a telephone breaks down, or a car breaks down. But it can be upgrading these things. You also may find that a daily routine is also being reshuffled about. So if you find that there has been this push-pull between your routine, the things that you're doing, misunderstandings with conversations. Yes, the cat can get out of the bag, but I do feel brand new healing in this domain. Some of you could win a car, okay? Some of you also may end up looking at being able to pay off a bill, but I also feel your routine could be changing. Now, I would say for those of you dealing with any throat chakra-related energy, in the area of maybe, say there was something coming up with your throat and it needed checking, I would say go and get it checked. I do feel some of that's going to resolve. And I also feel emotions relating to eating also could ease up after the fact. And it can be that you're changing your diet. Libra, are you ready for this? Big changes, my beautifuls. Okay, happy birthday to those of you that are Libras in the month of October. And those of you who are having birthdays, point blank zero. Okay, for those of you that are Libras, number one, we did have Mercury retrograde in your sign. Moving towards this eclipse, especially because you are the Venus element and Venus moving into the house of Scorpio, the sun will be there, you name it, everything's happening in Scorpio. It is linking to your second house. You could be looking at diet. You could be looking at finances. And I know any Libra I've talked to, put your hands up in the air. You're looking at the well-being. It could be paying a debt off. It could be that you are deciding that things aren't resonating with you and you're giving to charity, and you're getting rid of some of those circumstances in your life that you feel don't resonate with you. It could be directly selling something. It could be a car. It might be old clothing. But a way that you're going to be earning money and dealing with money is going to be transformed. I do feel some of the benefits of the work that you put in your life is going to come back, but you can feel that you're going in a new direction. For some of you, it could feel that expenses relating to maybe moving home or family members or children, something in that area has been going left and right. It may come up again towards the end of the year, but I don't feel it'll be the same, so don't stress. We've got Pluto direct, thank goodness. But I do see particularly you can be finding a new confidence in yourself. At the moment, it still could be a little bit up and down. I also feel having conversations to do with taboo subjects. This can be self-esteem related. It could be intimate wounds. It could be the courage. And I don't necessarily see you guys to be lacking in courage. I do feel there could be some subconscious blockages that are coming up that you may actually have revelations on. And it's the confidence, right? Some of you are choosing not to say something because you feel it might hurt somebody's feelings, or it might be a bit too raw to discuss. I feel it's a great time to journal, but I do feel you could be turning over a new leaf. Now, is the second house self-esteem, eating, changing in diet, your money. I also feel anything to do with your tummy and the way you're eating, eating slowly, drinking, detox, confidence, self-esteem, new streams of income. But I also feel what's not working, if you can't accept it, this could go a little bit longer for you. And you want that to be kind of cycled out, dealt with, be open to the transformations. Yes, it could be that some of you gain a new sense of stability, but it comes through as we move through this eclipse and into the month of November. For some of you, it could be you having to admit what is working and what isn't, be it it's at work or running your own business. But there is a change in circumstances. Scorpio, this is very personal. It's your first house placement. So you may be feeling that you're needing to consider other people. You may be feeling as though you need to look at your own needs as well as others. And this could be doing a bit of a 360 on you. And I don't feel, initially, I do feel this is very personal. It's your identity. It could be, am I lovable? What is the image I'm showing up with? Do I need to change? How can I move forward? The other could be, secrets. And I don't know why I get this, but I just feel it could be that you don't want to feel like you're a secret. B, it can feel that you feel quite private at the moment and protective of yourself. You could be getting crosswise between you and love. I do feel some of it could create a little bit of turbulence. I definitely do see this month, those that are really on a very hard path and it's a very toxic relationship, there potentially could be a circumstance that does play out where people do decide to go their separate ways. But anything shady energy-wise will come to the surface. But I feel this is you actually looking at maybe your contracts. It's looking at your love life. There's a bit of nervousness surrounding that. There's also a question mark between you versus other people. And I feel you'll be thinking on that as we do move through this month, especially the things that you could depend on previously. You could be looking at current circumstances and feel that you're not as invested as you thought you were. And if you really, really are, it could be over the next 6 to 7 months that you decide to do a home-based business, build your career out, do the work and investments, getting your paperwork and your finances in order. And I see this to be a huge theme for your star sign. So it appears to be it's the money side of things. You could be saving for something quite major. You may feel that, risky business isn't such a good idea right about now. Also feel something that you're moving into. You may have a revelation that it's going to take a lot of responsibility. In the area of love, be careful of secrets. But it's funny because this could be either happening on your side or their side. And also feel go easy on your gut, because some of you could feel that things aren't sitting quite right. Don't do too much because burnout is possible. You need to ease yourself into this eclipse and ease yourself out. This is a new chapter in your life. Have courage in that new chapter. Simple things, it's like get to the point you say to yourself, do I want to go to that party? Do I want to be that person? Was something psychologically holding me back? This is really great time for coaching, if you're getting professional help or counseling, if that's something that you felt you needed. Again, I can't give you medical advice, but I can say if that's something you're thinking about, it's always a great point to invest in yourself if you feel such as so. Definitely see your image changing, and you can look quite sultry after the fact. If you were going to do anything beautician-wise, I'd probably wait. I'll probably wait till 2023, Dallas, because we've got too many reversing planets and directing planets that could cause too much conflict. So the best point would probably be, I'd say, February, March. Sag, big changes, Styles. Are you ready? If you haven't seen it yet, you're definitely going to see it by November. I can tell you that one now. The rumbles in the trunk are coming through for your star sign, and a new chapter is about to kick off for you in the area of your beliefs. Now, this can be old habits, right? Needing to let go of old habits, needing to have faith in yourself and understand that you can have these new beginnings. Worries, especially if you've been really paranoid or concerned or stressed and you've been trying to deal with a romantic situation, trying to deal with your own personal traumas and fear-based frequencies, wondering how the heck you're going to do it, being concerned over money. I feel that you need to be the full card in tarot in this instant. Now, I would probably say wait until, a week after the fact. I'd definitely also stay away from toxic patterns, because you do have the eclipse hitting your 6th house after. So definitely no extremes where it does come to pacifiers. This can be, alcohol, excess. Anything in excess and extreme, it's going to cause issues for you. Be careful with your thought process. Be careful of getting cross and blowing up at people. This also can be an identity change, and it can be a dream come true. So I do feel if you've got a creative idea, give things a shot. Obviously within means, but I do feel from a spiritual point of view, you can be very tapped in. You can have a very grand idea, and this can usher in a brand new beginning for you within your own personal life. So good luck with that one. Capricorn, you'll be glad that Pluto's going direct. If you hadn't had the Empress new close going on for years and years and years, you are about to. Some of you need to unwind. Some of you need to get to a space that you are simplifying your life. It can also be in your daily routine. You're looking at things. Maybe you had too much on your plate and you need to simplify it to get organized in a routine. Some of you, it could be that you are turning over a new leaf with your wellness and saying, hey, maybe I've had too much on my plate. I haven't been able to prioritize myself, and I think I need to do such now. Some of you could be looking at dealing with online situations. It could be documents that you're trying to get done. I also feel changes surrounding your career. Pay rises and anything to that degree is a possibility for you. Whatever you do jump into, I really, really, really do feel you could be taking on a heck of a lot more responsibility. If you do decide to go from being employed with another person to running your own business, it could be a huge jump. And I definitely feel if there's anything that you're going to be working on, things are going to take generally a lot longer than you think. I do particularly feel group activities and the friends that you're mixing with could change at this time. You could have an issue with a friend or a group of friends. This could also be social habits that you actually, it could be 1 or 2 bevies, a little bit too much, as we say in Australia. But I also feel if there has been conflict in groups, be it it's in your family, at work, I do feel that could come to a head, but there is a brand new chapter nevertheless. And I do feel some of you are going to meet influential people. This could also be where you become famous overnight for something. Let's hope it's for good things. And be cautious also, because anything that was done that was a little bit underhand, there could be a question mark over such. If you had been having issues with a boss, I would say, and highly advise, really lay low. This could be a little bit of a challenging time until we move away from the eclipse. But definitely, if that was something that you were looking at between, I would say, August and now, maybe start putting those resumes out and taking those feelers out. But I do see overall this can be a large ticket item you may buy. And an old chapter ends and a new one begins. But definitely it's either you're moving into a high tier level of career, joining a gym, running a business, looking at a large ticket investment, paying one off, or investing in such. If you want coaching, come through and we can look at your chart. Aquarius, yes, the chart did say it is going to affect you. Saturn will be moving direct as well. All these changes are popping off in your life. For some of you, it could be, it can be that you fall pregnant. It can be that you are looking at your health and diet and saying, hey, you know, I've had too much of a good thing. There can be a lot of creativity. If you are trying to look at something in your career zone, it could be that an old boss contacts you. It may be that you're thinking back to an old thing you were doing. I definitely feel some of you could be looking at home-based businesses. And I also feel you could be looking at insecurities and emotions. There could be, and be careful, there could be a love affair that happens at work. So I'll be just aware of that. But I do see directly there could be a change within your career field. So that's either you're going from one level to another. It could be that you decide to transition to a different position. It could be that a new manager comes aboard, but there is a new chapter in your purpose and career zone. Where you get money from also can be coming through for you. What's another way it can play out? Just want to make sure I cover all bases. Some of you can be tying up paperwork in relation to money. I also feel as sun comes in, a debt may come up that you have to clear, but after that it can be on the repair as we move forward. Pisces, last but not least. How are you, beautifuls? Yes, Jupiter later will move out of Aries and back into Pisces. So for you, you might have had a bit of time where you could get life back on track. So to a degree. I do feel some of you could be, there could be a circumstance with a sibling that does come to a head. There can be a belief system that you are looking at. There also could be something that you're looking at that maybe you are, how could I explain it? Your values, your ethics, your morals could be to do with having a holiday, needing to have a holiday, needing to take time off work, having to address circumstances that have been a bit more tedious and maybe secretive and private. It could be that you get some information and you're trying to look at the long-term picture of these things and how the situations are impacting you. And it might make you feel a little bit concerned as we are moving through. Now, Scorpio is also in the house of Venus and the sun also. It could be for some of you relating to love, money. This also can be your savings plans. It might be a circumstance surrounding a love interest of what's going on with them and you don't quite know how to deal with it. There is going to be a new beginning in that area. And I also feel for some reason, I don't know why I'm getting this, but fitness. I do feel some of you are trying to find a way to balance home and family. Definitely see subjects around family. You're going to have to keep you cool. There also could be a feeling almost like isolation where you don't feel understood. The home environment could be changing. Some of you could be looking at, is this going to be a good fit for me? What's the long-term goal? And I do feel particularly as we do move into 2023, some changes surrounding your family, children and home are possible. Some of you also could, yes, you could get pregnant, but I feel you need to be realistic about what you can and can't do. As for travel, I do feel a planned holiday might be necessary, taking a few days either side. Direction and marriages and contracts, potentially even for those of you that are very unhappy, separations and, just moving away from a circumstance that you feel is not resonating with you. Now, the angel numbers that we do have for these days, between the 26th and the 25th and the 26th, one is the number 7, okay, drops down to a 7. And this is to do with, again, Venus, romantic relationships. We're being guided. It can be the twin flame number, which indicates movement in that direction. Changes in your career, finances, well-being, and spiritual growth. We need to go inward in order to have the knowing, and that's really the key to the Scorpio energy. It's intuitive, but it's also acceptance of a chapter that is changing. And then we move over to the energy of 8 of the eclipse, which is all the taboo-y areas. It's all the, you know, the grit and the muck that potentially could come up, the emotions that could be spewing out. We are divinely guided. 8 means you are entering a phase of some divine assistance. Okay, it can be brand new beginnings. It can feel a time where it is something that's been going on for a very long time. And I know we do have attachment, you know, sometimes it's like, no, but this is always the way it's been done. It's the infinity symbol, but it's a little bit like the Fool card in Tarot. It's like there's infinite ways this can go. So there's going to be good polarities of this situation and bad polarities. And that's a reality of all things in the universe. But it's about a cycle in life that's coming through and it's changing and it is moving forward. So digging deeper into the numerology associated with such. And the last but not least is obviously with the sun, moon eclipse. Obviously this eclipse is going to be the death card in Tarot, right? But the moon energy is to do with our home, our emotions. We need to listen to them. So understand that everyone's going to be feeling the same at this time. There can be worries about home, worries about stability, worries about our own emotions, maybe feeling that we're alone and we're the only ones who are experiencing it. There can be a linkage to fears of endings because everything's terrible, right? If it ends, it means it's terrible. Some of these things can be positive things. It could be conflict coming to an end with a family member. It could be an acceptance of a circumstance that physically was really taxing you emotionally and having to pull that to an end, and you're physically choosing to do that. It can be a relief, whatever these things are. But, you know, it always ends up on the other side of it that we are grateful that something ended regardless. So try and keep that in mind when we're going through this. When you're freaking out and you're holding on, I mean, look at the horse. There's all green and love and it's wanting its freedom and it's wanting to have this rebirth. And we're looking at it, you know, and it's, you know, everyone's pulling them down. It's like, no, it's going down. It's like, just accept. The sun. Now, this is Leo energy, right? You might not intuitively know right away. So you may need to, with both Scorpio, the sun, the eclipse, the moon, try to just go easy on the people around you for a few days. This could be a time where you feel very anxious. Everyone else is feeling that way. So give it a few days, right? Keep that in mind. Look at your family members, star signs, see how they could be reacting to that from an emotional point of view. And hopefully you've got your toolkit for this moon, and I'll see you on the other side. Take care, beautifuls. See you soon.